want to thank you all for turning up tonight. Great to see some faces that I've known for a long time. A lot of people whose support throughout the years has meant a lot to me. So is there anything anybody would like to hear in particular? How long? How long? How long? You can hear anything as long as it's how long tempted or first claim to fame, folks. Whoa, baby. Ooh. Yeah, yeah. How long has this been going on? How long has this been going on? Well, you're friends with a fancy persuasion. Don't admit that it's part of a scheme. I can't help but have my suspicion. I ain't quite as dumb as I seem. Oh, you said you never intended to break up our scene in this way. There ain't any use pretending it could happen to us any day.
I think all the groups I was involved with early on all had guys who didn't do anything else but sing. So I didn't really start singing lead until I helped to form the group Ace. You know, we were basically just a pub band in London. And the last one to get a record deal, I think. All the others got signed up. And, you know, every record company had to have a pub band. And we eventually got our deal with a small label. We went down to Rockfield Studios in Wales for 2 weeks. And it was the greatest time, I think, probably I've ever had. We had a great time down there and recorded basically our live set, which included a song called How Long, which was the first release and became quite a big smash all around the world. I remember writing it in my little bedsit in Muswell Hill, London. You know, well, I think the great thing about, you know, this was like a few years ago when I knew even less about the keyboards than I do now. So every time I accidentally stumbled upon a new chord, you know, I thought I hit on something really original. So, but I was very fond of these kind of chords then. Pretty stock sort of chords, really. But anyway, I had the verse thing going on, but I think probably by accident, I should think, I stumbled across this modulation, you know, this. And I was convinced that that was totally, you know, original, but probably makes perfect sense to anybody else. But anyway, that's how it came about. I had the verse. Well, you're friends with a fancy persuasion. Don't admit that it's part of a scheme. I can't help but have my suspicion. You ain't quite as dumb as I seem. You said you never intended to break up our scene in this way. There ain't any use pretending could happen to us any day. How long has this been going on? How long has this been going on? And, you know, with that and the great harmonies, that worked pretty good. I remember writing the lyric on the back of a bus ticket. And suddenly we had this big hit, and there seemed to be a lot of pressure to follow it up. And at the time, I was a bit young and all the rest of it, and I don't think I didn't really handle it. We stuck with it. We were very together kind of band, very insular sort of band. And we did our best, but we stuck it through to the end, but it was pretty obvious, you know, we weren't getting anywhere. See, what happened after the Ace thing fizzled out, and I was starting to get work as a studio musician and this, that, and the other, and I started to work. I worked on a couple of records with Roxy Music, and that was a very interesting thing to happen to me because it was totally different to anything I'd done up until that point, and they had a much more contemporary sort of attitude to making records than anything I'd been involved with before. There were basically three guys in that group: Phil Manzanera, Brian Ferry, Andy Mackay, and they were the guys who had the handle on what they wanted to do. It was very, very interesting and kind of opened up a whole new world to me, really. You could get to try out anything with that group. They just let you turn you loose and just try any number of things and then kind of nitpick and take this bit and that bit. Kind of interesting. I think they've got a lot to answer for, though. I think they've got, you know, a lot of people took the leaves out of their books and went for that structured kind of recording, which is quite prevalent today.
I bought a toothbrush, some toothpaste, a flannel for my face, pajamas, a hairbrush, new shoes and a case. I said to my reflection, let's get out of this place. Past the church and the steeple, the laundry on the hill, billboards and the buildings, memories of it still keep calling and calling. But forget it all, I know I will. I was tempted by the fruit of another, tempted, but the truth is discovered. What's been going on now that you have gone? There's no other. Tempted by the fruit of another, tempted, but the truth is discovered. Fruit of another, baby. Tempted, but the truth is discovered.
I just want to tell you that from working with Roxy, then came the Squeeze thing, you see. Because
Wasn't there a solo record between Roxy and Squeeze?
I did make a... How did you find out about that? I did make a solo record that was, I don't know, wrong record at the wrong time. It's called Nightbird. It was a very mellow record, and it was really not what was happening in England or anywhere, to be quite honest. It's kind of a singer-songwriter, slightly bland sort of record, really. Not what people were looking for at the time. However, I did get a call one day from an old friend, Jake Riviera, who manages Elvis Costello, Nick Lowe, and had just taken this group, Squeeze, under his wing because they'd had some trouble with their manager. And anyway, they were in need of a keyboard player because Jules Holland, their keyboard player, just left. And he said, you know, would you be interested in going down and meeting these guys? I didn't know anything about them, to be quite honest, but I got their albums. I thought they sounded great. And went down to Greenwich, down in East London, on the river there, and went to try out with them.
Was that awkward or odd or?
No, it was brilliant because, I mean, I was totally impressed by them. I mean, this again was really different from anything that I've been involved with. I was used to kind of grooving on a couple of chords, and I got down there and they're like, you know, very, very lively band, very interesting songs, a lot of chord changes, and a real eye-opener, to be honest. And they were about to go in the studio to record their album, East Side Story, and they were very rapidly running out of keyboard players to try. They tried everybody in town, and you know, I came along. I think they thought I was probably a little bit old than what they were looking for. I think they were looking for some nice, you know, some new wave kind of guy. Anyway, they were running out of time, so basically I got the job. And you know, 10 days later or so, we went in to record the East Side Story album. We'd recorded the album and ahead of schedule, and we had some time over, and we were just messing around in the studio, and we started to kick around this song Tempted, which they'd actually already recorded in a totally different version, you know, totally different way. So anyway, we started messing around, and I was playing the Hammond organ on it, and we were in this kind of R&B type vibe. And Elvis Costello, who was producing the record, came dashing out, you know, let's put it down, you know. So we recorded the thing, and then he said, I'll tell you what, you know, you should have a go singing this one, PC, because it was kind of up my street in the... It was kind of different to anything Squeeze had done up until that point, really. And anyway, I went out there and sang it, and the boys thought it was great. They all came out and said, oh, it's fantastic, and that ended up being the version that went on the album.
I bought a toothbrush, some toothpaste, a flannel for my face, pajamas, a hairbrush, new shoes and a case. I said to my reflection, let's get out of this place. Past the church and steeple, the laundry on the hill, billboards and the buildings, memories of it still keep calling and calling. But forget it all, I know I will. Tempted by the fruit of another, tempted but the truth is discovered. What's been going on, and now that you have gone, there's no other. Tempted by the fruit of another, tempted but the truth is discovered. I'm at the car park, the airport, the baggage carousel. The people keep on crying and wishing I was well. I said it's no occasion, it's no story I can tell. At my bedside, empty pocket, a foot without a sock. Your body gets much closer, I fumble for the clock. Alarmed by the seduction, I wish that it would stop.
The whole time I was with Squeeze was a very exciting period for me. I mean, a real kick up the backside. It was just great.
Truth is discovered. What's been going on? Now that
Remember I told you that this guy, Jake Riviera, had taken them under their wing, and he managed Elvis and Nick Lowe and then Squeeze. Now, for some reason or other, Jake and Squeeze fell out. So there was a rift there, and I felt kind of in the middle of that thing because I wanted to work with Nick and Elvis or whatever. And I did feel that at some point I would have to leave the group if I was to develop myself as a writer and a singer, because I was still keeping that thing alive within myself, although I wasn't very prolific at the time. You know, I did know that that's what I wanted to do, but there were several other projects going on under this umbrella of the Riviera Global sort of family. And there were a couple of other projects that I had to do first, which weren't, to be quite honest, as exciting as being a member of Squeeze. And for a minute there, I thought I'd probably done something really stupid. But, you know, I plugged away, and we started to make then. We had a unit of a band, which was Nick Lowe and myself, Bobby Owen on drums, Martin Belmont on guitar, James Ella on bass, and we had a unit there that made Nick Lowe albums, and we also made a Paul Carrack album, which is the one that I call the first one, which is Suburban Voodoo.
I don't need a roller or limousine. I don't need my picture in a magazine. I don't need approval from a chosen few. Tell you what I do need. I need you. I don't need no fixtures, fittings or phone. I'm so unfurnished, I'm on my own. I don't need reminded when the rent is due. Tell you what I do need. I need you. I need you. Like a fly needs a plane. I need you. Like a boat needs a gate. Listen, I don't really mind if it's him, girl, that you really love.
What happens is we get a call from Mike Rutherford, who's making an album away from Genesis, and he wants to know if I'll come down and sing a couple of songs on his record. And I said, when do you want me there? So I just kind of, first time in, I went in the studio, it was a full. Yeah, they did my da-da-da.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me running? Can you hear me running? Calling you. Take the children and yourself and hide out in the cellar.
And I looked at this lyric, you know, take the children in yourself, hide out in the cellar. I'm used to kind of, come on, baby, let's, you know, have a good time. So I couldn't quite figure how it was going to work, but it did.
And everything they tell you, believe in me, I'm with the high command. Can you hear me? Can you hear me running? Can you hear me running? Calling you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me running? Can you hear me running? Calling you.
I've obviously been influenced by American soul music and wherever that comes from. You know, I mean, I'm not one of these people who sits down and analyzes where all this stuff comes from, but I'm the first to own up that, you know, I've listened to a lot of American R&B in my time, you know. So obviously I've been influenced by it. I don't know if the Living Years might have turned out differently had somebody else been singing it or interpreting it. I just know that I really like, of all the songs we do with Mike and the Mechanics, I really do love that one.
Every generation tears I just wish I could have told him in the living years.
Mike and the Mechanics, the success of that obviously brought me back into the, you know, my profile up a little bit. And all of a sudden people were quite interested in what I was up to. And so basically I took the same old songs round to the same old record companies, and this time they liked them. Up until this time, most of the things I'd been involved with were pretty rough and ready. You know, with Squeeze, Nick Lowe, and all this stuff. It's pretty raw stuff, really. And I'd never had the opportunity to make what I thought would be a kind of a sophisticated, modern sounding record.
It seems that I'm hooked. Now I found a match for my own heart. Just give me one good reason, baby. One good reason now. One good reason I should hang around.
You know, I didn't want to make an album for my granny, you know, or for my own record collection. At this point, what I wanted was to have a career, and I felt it was important to make an accessible record. Not that anything I've done has really been that inaccessible, but, you know, I wanted it to be an album that was going to be able to be played on the radio, and, you know, hopefully to keep me in a position where I'm able to continue a solo career.
Don't shed a tear for me. My life won't end without you. Long as the night will be, the sun will rise without you.
The goals on the new album were to make the album that I wanted to make, that I felt by this time that I could make, given the opportunity. And I think it's more of a grown-up record. It's more, this is me. This is not me trying to be a pop star or anything like that. And I think the people who are listening to this stuff have probably got hairlines very similar to mine anyway.